Hey everyone, it's Aliah Henry, and you're listening to The Aliah Henry Show. Expect to hear insightful interviews and panel discussions covering community, entrepreneurship, health, and women's empowerment. Don't miss out. Keep listening. The Aliah Henry Show is up next. Welcome. I'm your host, Aliah Henry. This episode, I'm joined with my friend, Jessica Dunn, Vice President of Philanthropy at Lift Fund, for the first of multiple conversations about my journey in entrepreneurship. Every startup has a story, and today you get to hear a bit of mine. It's my hope that this conversation inspires you in your quest to be your own boss. Don't go anywhere. You're tuned in to the Aliah Henry Show. Jessica, thank you for joining me on the Aliah Henry Show. I am so excited that you are here. It's so different to be in the other side of the chair. I'm usually the one that's interviewing, right?
So true. But it's a great way for people to get to know who you are. So this is wonderful. So should we get to it?
Let's get to it.
Okay. So you've been very open to anybody who follows you social media and everything, that a middle class upbringing has taught you, from an early age, how getting a great education can position you to make a difference in the world. So let me ask you this. In considering how your parents positioned you to make an impact in the world, locally, globally, what role do they play in nurturing your heart for philanthropic and community work?
I would say my parents have always been a part of the community ever since I was about 5 years old. I remember going and serving back then at the soup kitchens, and we would go everywhere doing different things. And so one thing that I realized is that I was a child of parents that were givers. And I don't know if I knew what that meant at that time, but I always knew we were helping people. And, my father grew up in, a poor, I don't want to say poor settings, but just not middle class. And he was the first in his family to obtain multiple degrees. And so education was his way out. And so that was one of the things that he always instilled in us, is getting an education, go out and learn something new, try something that you don't like doing. He was very passionate about making sure that all four of us obtained degrees and were able to be good citizens in the community. That's what he's always ever wanted. And so for me, I think that has just always been my quest to make sure that I live out that legacy for him.
That's fantastic. Mm-hmm. And do you find yourself doing that for your family as well and passing that along?
Gosh, I do. So I have my son. We have one son, TJ, and he is, I would say, the little philanthropist as well. He's done things from moving families in, to putting furniture in, to cleaning furniture, to they made placemats for seniors. He's delivered to Meals on Wheels. So I do think that it is important for us to make sure that he sees my same upbringing. It's important that we do that for him. In this environment, in our community now, it's even more critical and vital that we are kind to one another. And so part of being a giver is really my hope for him, is for him to understand and know that in giving you do receive. So
that's wonderful. And so kind of along those same lines, tell us a little bit about your philanthropic values and what you're looking to do, and when did you first see yourself as a philanthropist?
Oh my goodness. It's so funny you asked that question. So for me, I never knew, I thought that word philanthropist was really all about high wealth people giving millions of dollars. And it was one of my mentors, probably about 18 years ago, when I was giving to the United Way through our company. And he reminded everybody in the room that we were like philanthropists. We were giving our dollars to good causes. And at that point, the light bulb went off for me that said, oh, I am a philanthropist. And I give at the level that I'm able to give. And my gift, at whether it's $5 or if it's $1,000, I'm going to be able to give that gift, and it's going to help a good cause. And so I think that's when I realized that about 18 years ago, which was really great because it was in the early stages of my career, where I was really learning about how to be, how to work in the workforce, how to give back, how to be a good steward, and really just being an adult, right? Like you're learning. And so for me, that's really where I thought at that point, like, hey, I'm giving back to my community and I'm doing something good. I always felt good about it. I think I started at like $5 a paycheck or something.
That makes a difference.
And it made me feel good, just as an employee, but then also as an individual for myself.
No, that's fantastic. I think so many people needed to hear that advice you received as well, because so many people think, oh, what's my $1, $5 going to do? But it's making a difference. That's great point.
Well, and then the interesting thing, I think throughout the years, I've always dreamed of, at every point in my career, can I do a little bit more? And by all means, I mean, I'm not wealthy, but I can give of my time, and I can give of, my dollars that I can set aside. And so I think that everyone needs to understand that giving is within your reach, and it just needs to be comfortable for you, and whatever that is. And you also just need to choose a cause that you can get behind and rally around.
No, that's a great thing, and that was probably a great way for you to find out what all the needs were in your community and kind of where you wanted to put your time and effort.
It's so interesting. So the things that I'm very passionate about are education, women's issues, and family issues. Those are my top three. And primarily because my dad was a clinical psychologist. He practiced family therapy. And I saw what he did to keep families together, to make sure children were safe in their environments. And so that for me, I know just in terms of whether it's a homelessness issue or whether it's an issue of making sure that people learn how to get a job. From whatever those spectrums are, it all affects your day-to-day family lifestyle. And so those are the things that I'm really passionate about.
No, that's fantastic. And so let's kind of switch gears a little bit, but you are a risk taker. So
yeah, my husband will definitely tell you that. Yeah.
But it's a great thing because it's led you to all these different amazing things that you've accomplished. So give us a little bit of insight into the entrepreneurial leaps that you've taken over the years and what has gotten you to the revelation, because I call you this all the time, you are a true girl boss. So what made you do all these things that put you in this girl boss status?
Wow. So a lot of people probably don't know. So I have this high school spirit book. I think all of us remember the high school spirit book where you write out what you're going to do, who you're going to be, who you're going to marry, and all that good stuff. Well, it didn't all happen the way I wrote it. However, one of the things that I did write is I always said I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and for some reason it said I wanted to be this marketing, like I want to have a marketing company. So it's amazing now that my company today does that, does a part of that. And so what I will share is that I've had multiple tries at entrepreneurship along the way. I've had a wedding hall, I planned events, I had a gift basket business, I sold Mary Kay, I had a handbag business. So I have always I've just always had that passion and desire to work for myself and have something for myself. Not to say that I would leave the company that I was with, I just wanted something of my own. And I just had to try to figure out what that would be. And so over the course of just trying to figure that out and looking at the different things that I could get behind and love, I realized that I loved helping other people. And I was very good at strategy and planning and, setting those things up. So obviously for businesses, for nonprofit, those things just come easy to me. I can look at your company and do a really good organizational audit, and I can tell you, you could probably want to do this with the HR team, or maybe format your programs in a little bit of a different way. I don't know where that all comes from. I just know that I have that gift, I guess. And so those are the things that really came interesting to me. And so as an entrepreneur on this entrepreneur journey, I started writing down the things that I really enjoyed doing. Fundraising, development. I still like doing some special events. So of course, obviously fundraising events really fell into line with that. And then about 5 years ago, I got excited about social media and just really self-taught myself in that area. And I guess now, I don't know, I got introduced not too long ago as the social media guru. So I was a little taken back by that. I was like, oh, okay. So another hat, I guess I'll wear that one too. But it really is. It's fun. I enjoy it. I enjoy teaching it. I enjoy helping others. And so obviously all of these little steps have really formed out to make me know for sure that I really wanted to work for myself, and I had all of these different things that I wanted to do, and just had to try to do them.
No, that's fantastic, and that's great advice too, because I feel like that's why I always call you the girl boss, because you're giving all this good advice right now. But you said about having different roles and things you're doing, taking what you like from each one, and then seeing how you can build that into something, and that's great. And so, do you still have, like, where you've written all these things down? Can you look at something like that and see where you are now and say, oh my gosh, I've done it?
So one of the things that I teach when I coach is to really journal, just kind of journal. You can, purchase your own journals. But I keep literally notes. So as I'm thinking about something, I might just be out with you, and then maybe we go to lunch and I leave lunch and there was something that you said that sparked my interest, and I may write it down. So I encourage people to write things down. You have to write them down, because you never know when you'll go back and start to look over the items that you've written down, or the goals, or your plans. Or if you say, hey, I want to do 13 vacations in the next 3 years, what does that look like? Write them down. And so for me, I've journaled probably for the last, I would say probably 20 years. And I have boxes of just journals, but I did that with work too. So you know how you go into this new job and you start to use a calendar with the journal. Every single thing that I did for that day, I wrote it down. It was just kind of a part of me. I'm very process driven. So, people that are very process driven have to have kind of everything in line. And so that's probably part of my personality as well. But it works for me. Yeah. And being able to take a look back and see where I've been, or see some of the things that I thought of, it's a really good aha moment for me, because it's like, oh wow, this is something that I thought about doing 10 years ago, and now I'm doing it. So it really just it's full circle. And so, it's good.
Great, and it explains why you're so good looking at organizational structures of places, because you see how you can document everything, what needs to change, because it's always good to have those outside eyes. So that's great.
Yeah, thanks.
So you kind of touch base on your husband, your son, and how you brought him into the philanthropy world. So as a mother, and I ask you this all the time, as a mother, a friend, a wife, an entrepreneur, everything you do, how do you juggle it all? Like, how do you do this?
I'll be honest. I mean, some days I'm totally overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed because you feel like you've got to be on, right? You've got to be on for everybody. If your kid says I'm hungry, they don't cook, so I got to get in there and cook something. And obviously now he's getting a little bit older, but he still can't use the stove. He can use a microwave, but not a stove. So I'll be really honest. I get overwhelmed. And some days I just want to go and sit in the closet and just hide. I really do. And but one of the things that I do is I'm intentional. I am intentional about every relationship that I have. And so I am very good about texting to say, hey, how you doing? Or just calling just to say, hey, I don't want anything. I just wanted to let you know I'm thinking about you. I am intentional about making that time. So if we got to go to lunch, we got to go to brunch, we got to take that early dinner to get together to do. I'm very intentional about that. I'm very intentional with my son, and I'm present. And I always want to be that way with my son, with my husband, with my friends and family. I won't say there's like a special formula for it, because there really isn't. What I will say is that you just have to, and what I do is I just have to make sure that I make my time. I do schedule time for myself. I start in the mornings. I usually will get up a little bit earlier than my son, just so I can have like that 15 minutes as well for me. And then sometimes if that 15 minutes is allowing me to do my texting and just to let somebody know, hey, I'm thinking about you, kind of busy this week. But one of the things that I do want to share is that, and this has helped me process making time for someone, is that the people that really love you and really care about you and understand what you're going through, they get it. Hands down, they get it. They understand. So there's not the battle that says, oh, I don't have time today. Oh, she doesn't like me. Oh, she doesn't have time. It's not that, because the people that truly care about you, my friends that are there, they get it. They know. And so I think that really is important in my journey, to have people that just get it. Because sometimes I have all the time in the world, and then other times I just don't. And I've got to maximize it as much as I can, but I do try to make time. So we've got family time, and then I've got time with my son, I got time with my husband, and then, of course, time with friends. So there's no perfect formula. You just have to be intentional about reaching out and making sure you make it happen.
No, and I can attest to that. You
Yeah.
are so good about that. You're getting random texts from you with a purple heart is the best thing in the world. I'm like, I'm thinking of you. Thank you. That's so
Okay.
true.
Yeah.
So for somebody is tuning in and they may be feeling the itch, like, hey, I have my passions. I've written these down, and
Okay.
they want to take the risk. They're like, I want to do it. I want to become an entrepreneur.
Okay.
What 3 things would you consider that, like, tell them to consider first? Like, what are those first 3 things they should do to make sure this is the right move?
Okay, wow. So the first thing that I would say is, don't ever make a decision on your emotions.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you get in a situation and you're like, I'm done. I'm just out of here. I'm done. So first thing is really don't make decisions on emotion. Take time and plan. So I would say, write out what you want to do. Write down your goals, write down a timeline for yourself. And this is going to enable you to kind of see what you're thinking about doing as an entrepreneur. The second thing that I would say is shadow. So I remember and I'll just give a quick example, when I wanted to do a radio show, I actually started shadowing radio. I started shadowing radio hosts.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And I started listening because I needed to see if I could be doing that.
Yeah.
And so it was really kind of cool. And actually, Kevin Hodes was actually he let me shadow him and a couple other people at his station. And so I'd go in and just sit and listen. And a couple times I was on his show. And that was really good for me. And so what I would say is that if you have an idea, reach out to people that are currently doing it. When I wanted to start consulting, I got on LinkedIn and I emailed 7 people that did not know me from Adam and said, hey, I am interested in consulting. We're connected through LinkedIn. Would you mind giving me about 15 minutes of your time? And all 7 of those people said yes.
That's great.
And it was really great because it allowed for me to ask some questions about being a consultant, about pay structures, about not having any work. All of those things I got to ask before I jumped in. And then I sat with 3 people who did know me that are consulting and asked, did the same kind of interviewing them as well. And so that was really helpful for me. So that second piece is, reaching out and either shadowing or asking other people's advice, people that are already doing what you want to do, because that will help you identify, because you may go and shadow someone and be on a radio show and decide, I don't want to do that. Or maybe you say, oh man, I really like what the production team is doing. Maybe I want to be on that side of it. That's when the juices get flowing and you really decide like what you want to do. So that is key. So then the third thing that I would say is really plan for your exit if you're wanting to exit. And this means, getting some of your business things set up ahead of time, saving your income ahead of time, taking a look at different certifications that you're wanting to do. And you may not go and get them then, but you'll just want to have an idea, because running a business does take time and money. You can start it, with little funds, but eventually you have to get to a space where you can invest in the business so that you can continue to grow.
Oh,
So those would be my 3.
That's great advice. That's why you're the hashtag girl boss. So anything else that you would like to share with the audience and people
Oh my
that are tuning
gosh.
in?
I think the one thing that I would just like to share in terms of getting, just sharing with my audience is that, at this stage of my life, I am loving life. And it's a great space to be in when you've worked for 20 years and had, good education, and just really being able to do what you enjoy and try to do those things that you maybe never thought you'd ever do. And so for me, I want this show to exemplify people that are doing that, but for the show to give hope and to give that little extra oomph to say, man, I think I might try this, or I think I'm ready to look into doing something different, or maybe transferring to a new department or trying something new. And so, I want to bring really great conversations just like we're having today. Obviously, I don't really talk about the back end of my journey, but I'm so excited to start doing that, because I do think that we all can be, we can give hope for one another, and we can all encourage each other. And that's really what I want. That's what I want from the show. That's what I want for my guests to be able to do that, and for us to inspire others.
So true. And thank you so much for letting me dig into your world and find out this, because normally I'm the one answering questions from you. So I truly, truly appreciate this opportunity to get to know you a little bit better. I
thank you for being my co-host for our very first podcast, and I'm so excited to have your friendship and your support.
Mwah.
Thank you for listening to the Aliah Henry Show. Remember, be bold enough to use your voice, brave enough to listen to your heart, and strong enough to live the life you've always imagined. See you next time.